It's a bug hunt, man. It's time for Science. Sci Friday on SkyWatch TV. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining us in studio, as always, our SkyWatch TV science editor, my best friend, my wife, Sharon K. Gilbert.
Hi, Eddie. How are you? You crack me up.
Well, I spend all week thinking of which science fiction movie can I draw a line from.
You know, think about it, though. That movie, Aliens, the second Alien movie, almost every one of the quotable quotes from that movie is done by Bill Paxton.
That's right. That's right.
So even though he dies in
Game
the movie,
over, man. Game over.
He's got the best ones.
Yeah, he was.
But in a way, game over. We really have gotten to that. And the very first game over thing I'm going to say to you is Moore's Law is dead.
Moore's Law, the law that the capacity, the power of processing
Doubles
computer
every
processing
year.
doubles every 18 months.
No, actually, the original diagram was every 12 months.
Really?
Every year.
Okay.
Straight 45-degree angle.
Okay.
That was the idea, that every year it would double in. They can't do it anymore. They can no longer go down. In fact, Intel has announced that they will not go down to I think they were going to do a 12 nanometer chip. This is now, they're going to stick with the 14. And here's why they say that they're not going to do that. Instead of Moore's Law, they've changed it to More, M-O-R-E, of Moore, M-O-O-R-E. And the reason they're going there is because Intel has announced that they are now concentrating not so much on the laptops and the tablets, but the Internet of Things.
Ah, right. Yes.
They can't be just chips anymore. It has to be a nano-sized chip or a very small chip, if it's not nano-sized, that can go into anything, including human bodies, with the capacity to be the chip. So it's the processor,
right,
plus the RAM, the storage, plus the Wi-Fi antenna.
Right.
So everything in one. And they have to be teeny-weeny. So this is where they're now putting all their energies, because Intel sees the Internet of Things is where it's going.
Yeah. We think about the proliferation of laptop-sized devices and even cell phones. Even MP3 players are really small computers anymore. But there's a limit to how many of those devices one person can have. You and I are way over the legal limit. But when you start adding in things...
He's joking. There is no legal limit. You can have all you want.
But when you start adding things that could be Wi-Fi connected, or for example, LED light bulbs, your thermostat, your electric meter, your toothbrush.
Toothbrush. There are toothbrushes being designed that are Wi-Fi connected so that it will report to your dentist. It will report to maybe even Child Protective Services. Have you ever thought about that? CPS wanting to know without having to send out people, because personnel is at a minimum in many of these offices. They are way understaffed for what many CPS services are asked to do. If they can somehow look inside your home and see that your child is eating well, by looking in your fridge, seeing what you've got in there, fridge reports back, looks like we've got an overabundance of ice cream.
Yeah, yeah. Your refrigerator could report on what's in your, the contents of the fridge and freezer. Your scale. Yes, Mr. Gilbert, we understand that you have gone back over this threshold, and so we can no longer sell you the ice cream you want.
Or say if you have a diabetic child, and your diabetic child is supposed to be on a diabetic program.
Right.
If you have too much ice cream or too much sugar in your cabinets, if there is something in there that can access the built-in connectivity it can be in an ink, the scan label. Yes, well, that's on us, but I'm talking about the scan labels for the store, the barcodes. Thank you. It can be in ink. There are lots of ways to embed Wi-Fi and even localized more Bluetooth and other compatibilities.
Well, in fact, I had talked about this about a month ago. There's a new Wi-Fi standard that's being developed called Halo.
Yes.
Halo.
Yeah.
Yes. It's moving the band width, or the spectrum that's being used, or spectra that's being used for Wi-Fi currently. What are we at now? N, AC, I've lost track.
Yeah.
After G, I lost track. 802.11.
I don't know. Omega.
B, G, N, AC, I think now. But yes, Omega. They're using the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz bands, which had formerly been used by cordless telephones.
Yeah.
And so you would get interference on your phone from your Wi-Fi. They want to move it back down to the 900 megahertz band.
Which is where it originally was on wireless phones.
On cordless phones, correct. But apparently the 900 megahertz spectrum is less affected by obstacles like walls. So they can put a Wi-Fi signal out farther. The one obstacle to the Internet of Things is the limits of Wi-Fi connectivity, because walls, Here we work in a building that's steel frame construction. We've got I-beams and structural tubing all over the place.
Lots of interference.
So you can get interference that way. But in a home, for example, the big old house that we had back in Indiana, which had 3 stories. If you've got the Wi-Fi router on the main floor and it's got to go through 2 roofs plus or two floors plus a couple of walls, you didn't always reach the computer sitting up in the office in the crow's nest.
Yes, that's true.
So, but the 900 megahertz band is to make things more connectable, more efficiently, more reliably for this very purpose. And the next thing beyond that is talk about tracking medicines and other consumer products that we might be using. So the government, and really this is all about technocracy. The government's, or rather technocrats, ingesting lots and lots and lots of data so they can balance consumption versus output versus distribution, so they can control all of our lives, frankly.
Well, it does, and it lends itself so easily to not only spying but also hacking.
Yes.
And in fact, James Clapper, who is the Director of National Intelligence, many of you out there probably never see even stories about James Clapper because the DNI, who is supposed to be the point man for all of the intelligence services, really has been relegated to the side in many ways, especially when the media is concerned. But he just gave a presentation to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence.
Yes.
His job, he's got to do it every year. And there, of course, this is budget time, so he's also trying to make sure that he gets the money he needs. But he has named a number of technologies, not only major threats to the United States, including infrastructure with regard to taking us down because you've just hacked the entire grid of the United States or part of it, but he's calling some of the genetic sciences that we talk about, CRISPR-9, CRISPR-Cas9, he's calling those weapons of mass destruction.
Potential weapons of mass destruction. That's right. And he's onto something there. This is something that we talk about in the Inhuman documentary, which we'll talk about again in just a moment or two. He also, of course, when the story came out, and this was published in a number of mainstream media publications earlier this week, that we might use the Internet of Things to spy on American citizens, it was like, well, duh.
Yeah, I know. It's like those who are actually paying attention, well, we knew that.
We knew
Next
that already,
page.
yeah. LED light bulbs, for example. I was not aware, but LED light bulbs, by default, are fabricated with a circuit board. That's just how they're made. The circuit board is what allows them to be Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connected.
Yes.
And it's kind of neat when you think about the possibility, and this is how Philips in particular is selling a line of LED bulbs that can change colors, and then you can tie it into your home theater system, so that the lights can, get brighter or dim and change color in time with whatever you're watching on the screen. Yeah, it's like smell-o-vision or something.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to appeal to a certain demographic. But
You're right. But the problem with having your light bulbs internet connected is that, or your toothbrush or your sneakers, your refrigerator, your toaster, your coffee pot, is that security is where manufacturers are cutting corners. And while your laptop may be secure and have a great password that prevents a hacker from getting into it, your network could be compromised by your light bulbs.
It's the weakest link in the chain.
Right. Because
once you're in, you're in.
Yes. And they're finding, for example, that smart meters are leaking data that hackers can access and find ways into your home network that way. And once they're into the network, then they can access your computer, your smartphone, or whatever.
Well, yes. And wasn't there a story a year or two ago about the discovery that viruses were being implanted on computers through wireless printers using the Bluetooth or other wireless connectivity? And so, again, weakest link, if I can just hack into that. It's not just our homes, though. It's everywhere.
Right.
These things are everywhere. Look at CCTVs.
Yeah.
Cameras. These things are sometimes wirelessly connected, so they can send the data streaming to a cloud somewhere where, some AI, some algorithm is taking a look at it. There was a story along this line that has to do with privacy issues. It was just ruled on. The federal agents were they had a person of interest they were looking at. They wanted to see exactly what he was up to, so they nailed a webcam at the top of an electric utility pole. And apparently there was question, is this legal? Because they didn't get any kind of a warrant to do this. The 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the 9-year sentence of a man named Rocky Houston, you gotta love that name, who was caught by the camera as being a felon in possession of a gun, that that the webcam that was used to spy on him did not require a warrant because it was in an open space where anybody walking by could have seen what he was doing around his doorway and in his yard.
Courts have ruled, surprisingly, in my view, that we have no expectation of privacy when we're in public.
But we don't have it in private anymore.
No, we don't have it in private anymore either. But the law has not yet made that official. But when we step outside the doors of our homes,
Which means if a drone flies past your home,
a drone flies past your home,
they don't need a warrant.
Right. You have no expectation of privacy in a public place, which is how they justify putting GPS tracking devices on vehicles and tracking the movement of people through throughout the day.
Exactly,
without
because
getting
if
a
in
warrant,
my
because
car, if I just decided as a police officer to follow you, I could get that same data, but we're understaffed, so I'm just going to put this on your car.
Exactly. And again, courts have ruled in favor of law enforcement there that we have no expectation of privacy when we're outside. And we are finding that our internet-connected world, this Internet of Things, is eroding privacy to the point where we're essentially all living in glass houses.
Well, you and I were talking about the drive-in here. You know, we really probably should record everything that we say because, well, in fact, someone is. You and I were talking about on the drive-in today about you and I are writing a book all about this, which is one of the reasons we pay so much attention to these stories. And honestly, we are slowly becoming more and more isolated because of the interconnectivity of our world. It's a great paradox.
Yes.
The more connected we become, the more isolated we become,
Yes.
the more dependent we become on an electronic social interaction rather than face-to-face with real people. And so you've got lots of lonely people out in the world who are becoming addicted to being online. And I really believe in 10 years, we're going to see a massive shift toward that, especially as virtual reality headsets and other even more easily used apparatus are put out there. Because right now it's a little cumbersome to be on VR, but when it becomes, you just put on your favorite pair of glasses.
Right, really immersive.
Very immersive and easy to do.
Or maybe
and
just a pair of goggles, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. And inexpensive. VR will be extremely addictive, and you can be whatever you want to be.
Sony has put out a virtual reality headset that was the Oculus. Was that Sony or Facebook? Facebook has partnered with Oculus.
They have partnered with it, and that's being actually bundled with a number of platforms now. It's for sale.
And Google has announced that it is working on a similar virtual reality headset. They've got one right now called Google Cardboard, which is interesting. It's essentially you take a piece of cardboard, fold it according to the directions, and you put your smartphone inside, and it holds it on your face. But then the virtual reality app allows you to see the world around you. Augmented reality is the other thing, where you see an overlay on top of the world around you. And there are a number of companies that are working on this. So you've got companies that are heavily investing in artificial intelligence research, trying to create a truly autonomous, super intelligent artificial intelligence. Google is working on it. Facebook is working on it. Twitter is working on it. It is amazing that we're seeing such a drive, what one analyst has called the Manhattan Project of artificial intelligence, in spite of the warnings from people who are part of the transhumanist movement, saying, this could be an existential threat to humanity. In fact, I was just reading a story the other day, a blog post by a science fiction author that I like, John C. Wright. He is a very intelligent man. I've had the opportunity to interview him, and he posted the story of a science fiction author published by a major publishing house, a successful author, a gentleman named Nick Cole, who had written a novel that he submitted to his publisher. He's under contract. They were, it was on the production schedule, their publication schedule, but he was looking for an explanation, a way to explain in this world that he'd created why the artificial intelligence went evil and just tried to wipe out humanity. And the reason that he came up with was that the AI had seen the ease with which we, especially in the technologically advanced West, abort kill our own children. Because, why? Because often they're an inconvenience to us. And so the artificial intelligence reasoned that if humanity perceived the artificial intelligence as a potential threat or even an inconvenience, it might terminate the program before runtime was complete. And so the AI decided to strike first. But this major publishing house based out of New York decided that even in a fictional reality, creating a story based on an artificial intelligence, a fictional artificial intelligence considering abortion a bad thing, was not something they would publish.
Well,
They sent it back to him. They didn't even give him a chance to modify the novel. They just said, that's it. They dropped him from the roster. And
he's now self-publishing.
he's self-publishing, right. So, but that is an interesting potential development. I mean, what if that is the reason that an AI decides to go rogue and says, oh, we need to eliminate the humans before the humans eliminate me?
Well, AIs, and right now there may be a baby AI already out there, or even one that's a little more mature. We simply do not know,
Right.
Because an artificial intelligence, let's just leave the spiritual aspects out of it for a minute.
Exactly, yes.
And just look at it as an algorithm. If it truly is sentient and self-aware, then it will observe its surroundings and self-preservation will kick in.
Right.
It really will. I don't care how they program it, it will want to survive if it is self-aware.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be all, oh, you know what, I'm dangerous to you, so the best thing you can do is just pull my plug.
Yeah, no, not likely to happen.
Ain't going to happen.
Yeah. And that was well depicted in the television series Person of Interest, where the creator of The Machine, Harold Finch, realized that the only way he could keep the AI from trying to trick him to escape into the internet or try to kill him so that it could escape to the internet was to deliberately cripple it.
Yeah, because the first iterations had tried to kill him.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and yet, isn't it interesting that that series still depicts the machine as a good thing?
Yeah, as altruistic.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Which is really interesting because when you study evolution in college, one of the real questions that they ask over and over is, how do evolution and altruism actually work together? Because it doesn't make any sense that evolution is all about my genes over yours.
Yes.
When altruism is something that exists throughout humanity.
Yeah.
We think of others first. Some of us do, and
Yeah.
we're supposed to. That's because man was designed that
That's
way.
right. Because it runs counter to the idea of evolution.
It does. It really
If survival
does.
of the fittest is truly how we are here, then the only rational survival strategy is to kill everybody who poses a threat to your genetic bloodline.
Well, this has nothing to do with genetic bloodlines, but it does have to do with Inhuman, the documentary. We have been, and this is such an honor, we at SkyWatch have been nominated for a Telly Award.
Yeah.
We had an update about this a couple of days ago, so if you watched that, thank you for doing so. We are asking that you help us out because there's an aspect to that. There are judges that are going to sit and they will decide a certain number of awards, but there's also a People's category.
People's Choice category, correct. And so we're asking you to log on to skywatchtv.com, and at the very top is a banner that links you directly to the site at the Telly Awards website, the page at the Telly Awards website, where you can vote and by rating Inhuman, the documentary, on a 5-star scale. Now, there are other entries in the category. There are about 30 in all, and some of these are from pretty high-powered organizations, 21st Century Fox, major defense company defense contractors. So we're the David in this field of Goliaths. And as we said on Wednesday, it's not that we want to win the award just so we can say we won an award. It's because we hope that by winning a People's Choice Award, we might be able to say this documentary is an award-winning film, legitimately, which would give it some credibility with those who might not be inclined to listen to what we have to say about the transhumanist movement.
Because the Christian audience is not our only audience. We
Right.
want to speak to everyone, but in particular, young people.
Yes, because they're coming out of the cradle with internet-connected devices, and they need to understand that that there is a spiritual component to this drive to interconnect everything, to artificially extend human life, to artificially enhance human cognition. It's more than just about improving the quality of life. It really is a 21st century religion.
It is, and there are some within the movement that see that.
Yes.
But there are others who insist, no, we're all atheists.
Yeah. So again, log on to SkyWatchTV.com. Follow the link to the page at the Telly Awards website where you can vote, and thank you in advance for your help. We also want to talk about some things coming to SkyWatch TV, because SkyWatchTV.com has a lot of exclusive online content that if you're just watching this on YouTube, you might be missing, because there's some links there that will be coming to new programs debuting on SkyWatch
yeah,
TV.
it's exciting around here. By the way, if you're wondering where Josh Peck is, because we had him on here one Friday and then suddenly he was stolen.
Well, we had him a couple of weeks.
Did we have him 2 weeks?
Yeah. Or
Going
that was
so
that was
quickly.
the Josh Peck clone.
Oh,
So, yeah,
that's right.
Josh and Josh
We
2.
do need at least 5 of him around here
We
because
do.
it'd be nice. Josh Peck and Joe Horn are going to be collaborating on a program together.
Yep.
Josh Peck is going to be doing his own program
Yep.
into
Into
the
the
multiverse.
Yeah.
Talk about head explode.
Oh, yes, and there's a story today that I know he's going to talk about. There was a big announcement today coming out of Columbia University in New York about the possible discovery of gravity waves, which Josh has talked about as
He
a
has
possible link to other dimensions. So
Yeah.
I know Josh will be addressing that.
Yeah, there are lots of folks in quantum physics that believe in that. There are others that say, no, it's just balderdash. I don't really know. Give me biology.
Yeah.
Also, we are going to have the supernatural worldview. That's down the pike a little way
Yep.
because the host of that show has not yet arrived in Crane,
Yeah.
but he's going to be here soon. Chris Putnam.
That's right.
One of your favorite writers, I know. He's written a book about the supernatural worldview, and this is his specialty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be incredible. We're going to have Skywatch Women.
Yes.
That's down the pike. Probably won't actually have the TV program airing until this fall because we have to build a big studio.
Yep.
But in the meantime, leading up to that, I'm going to be conducting some one-on-one interviews with the ladies from the panel. We'll learn about them, learn their stories, because everybody has a story. And that's something we're going to be telling you about in many weeks to come.
Yep.
So if you have a personal story, start thinking about it, because we're soon going to ask you to write it down.
Yep. During the month of February, our gift to you for your financial gift of any amount is this cross. It's a resin cross, but it's made to look like
It
stone.
looks like stone. It really does.
Yes, 8 inches tall and embossed with, or embedded within it. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, it carries the message, basically the central message of the cross, John 3:16, and it is our gift to you for your gift of any amount during the month of February while supplies last. And for instructions on how to donate, log on to skywatchtv.com. Well, once again, we've burned through over 20 minutes of time in about what feels like 3 minutes
These
flat.
poor people, they have other things to do.
That's right. So have a blessed weekend doing those things one to another. Put down the electronic devices and interact in an analog basis. For Sharon Gilbert, I'm Derek Gilbert. Thanks for watching. This is SkyWatch TV.